Imagine waking up tomorrow and your bank account balance looks exactly the same, but a single loaf of bread costs $50. This is not a scene from a dystopian novel. It is a historical, mathematical certainty that has ended every empire before us. For 80 years, the US dollar has been the world's undisputed king, but the crown is slipping. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the silent collapse of the petrodollar, the rise of the BRICS alliance, and the terrifying truth about what happens to your savings when the world's reserve currency finally breaks. The question is not if it will happen, but if you will be on the right side of the transfer when it does.
History is a mirror, and the reflection is grim. In 2001 AD, the Roman denarius was 95% silver. By 270 AD, that silver content dropped to just 0.5%. The emperors debased the currency to fund endless wars and massive debt, leading to a total societal collapse. We are following the exact same blueprint. Since 1971, the US dollar has lost over 90% of its purchasing power. We think we are living in a unique era of prosperity, but we are actually living through the final chapters of a story that has been told 1,000 times before.
If Rome feels too distant, look at Germany in 1923. At the height of the Weimar Republic's hyperinflation, it was cheaper to burn money for warmth than to buy firewood. People carried wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a single egg. This happened in one of the most sophisticated nations on Earth. When trust in the currency evaporates, the social contract shreds. The middle class was wiped out in months, leaving only the ultra-wealthy and the destitute. We're currently printing more money in a decade than we did in the previous century. Are we really different, or just more arrogant? Why has the dollar lasted this long, if the math is so bad? The answer is a secret deal struck in 1974. The US told Saudi Arabia, "We will protect you, but you must sell oil only in dollars." This created a global need for the USD, forcing every nation to hoard it. This is the petrodollar. It allows America to export its inflation to the rest of the world. But that shield is cracking. For the first time in half a century, Saudi Arabia is now open to trading oil in yuan and euros. The anchor that held the dollar in place is being cut, and the ship is starting to drift. While we were distracted, a new power block emerged. China, Russia, India, Brazil, and South Africa, the BRICS, are no longer just emerging markets. They are a coordinated rebellion against Western financial hegemony. They are currently developing a new basket of currencies backed by gold and rare earth minerals. They represent 40% of the world's population. When they stop buying our debt, the US government loses its ability to fund its own existence. The world is voting on a new leader, and the dollar isn't on the ballot anymore. Money is ultimately just trust. But in 2022, the US did something that changed the world forever. They froze Russia's central bank reserves. Regardless of the politics, this sent a shockwave to every nation on the planet. The message was clear. If the US doesn't like what you do, your money is no longer yours. This weaponization of the SWIFT system has triggered a global race to de-dollarize. If your savings can be turned off with a mouse click in Washington, you will find a new place to put them. The exodus has already begun.
The US national debt is over $34 trillion. At current interest rates, we are paying over $1 trillion a year just in interest. That is more than we spend on our entire military. We are now in what economists call a debt spiral. We have to borrow more money just to pay the interest on the money we already borrowed. There are only two ways out: a massive default that destroys the global economy, or printing so much money that the dollar becomes worthless. Both paths lead to the end of your portfolio as you know it.
But the elites aren't planning on a return to the gold standard. They are planning for the Great Reset. Enter central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. This is the birth of the universal world currency. Unlike the cash in your wallet, this digital money can be programmed with an expiration date or restricted to certain purchases. It is the ultimate tool for control. As the dollar dies, the replacement will be marketed as a solution to the chaos, but it comes at the cost of total financial privacy. The transition from paper to code is the final step in the collapse.
In every currency collapse, wealth isn't destroyed, it's transferred. People who hold paper assets, traditional savings accounts, and fixed income bonds are the primary losers. They are left holding the bag of a dying system. The winners are those who understand the difference between currency and money. When the dollar loses 50% of its value, the price of a stock might double, but your actual purchasing power remains the same, or worse, it's taxed at the higher nominal value. Your portfolio is currently sitting on a fault line. It's time to check the foundations.
The smart money is moving into hard assets. This includes physical gold and silver, which have survived every collapse in human history. It includes productive land and energy resources. And for the first time in history, it includes decentralized digital assets like Bitcoin, the digital gold that no government can print. Diversifying away from the USD isn't about betting against America. It's about betting on the laws of physics and mathematics. If it can be printed at zero cost, its value will eventually trend toward zero. Real assets cannot be printed.
We are moving toward a multipolar world. The era of a single superpower controlling the global ledger is ending. In the next 5 years, we will likely see the launch of a BRICS-backed reserve asset and the total integration of digital identities with our bank accounts. The world will feel smaller, more volatile, and highly controlled. The dollar's decline is the catalyst for a global restructuring that will change how we work, how we trade, and how we live. This is the greatest economic shift since the Industrial Revolution, and it is happening in real time.
The signs are all around us, hidden in plain sight on the evening news and in your grocery receipts. The system is changing, whether you are ready or not. You can ignore the history, you can ignore the debt, and you can ignore the geopolitical shifts, but you cannot ignore the consequences of being unprepared. The end of the dollar is not the end of the world, but it is the end of the world as we have known it. Will you be a victim of the collapse or a survivor of the new order? The clock is ticking. Subscribe to stay ahead of the reset. Your future depends on it.